Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where I'm going to break down all the rubbish that's going on with England. There's a lot to talk about today. That's why I've got my face out, so you can see my hand movements and stuff, because there's going to be a lot of still pictures and me talking over things. But everyone's been talking about the balance of England, and they don't really know what they're talking about in sports media. And I'm going to actually, when I start pointing out the real problem with the balance, and people are talking about things like Kieran Trippier playing on the left side, so having natural left, all of that stuff, that is correct in the terms of balance of what you're talking about. But there's things that are way more important than that, and I'm going to cover that. I'm going to bring up the team sheet, and when I start to explain each individual player, you're going to start to realise the positional, who's playing where, isn't necessarily the main problem with the balance of the England squad. So one of the biggest problems people have, especially when you're trying to coach or coach educate people, is they don't actually articulate the right things going forward. So let me make a classic example. If everybody listening said, put their description down, what they want a number 6 to play like or a number 9 to play like, everyone's description is going to be different. Because what your opinion is of number 6 and what mine is and what this other guy's is all going to be different. So when you start saying things like balance, well, what do you mean by balance? What do you mean by number 6? Do you just mean he's a holder? Because Pirlo was a number 6. Well, he wasn't running around the field. He was dictating the play. So you don't mean a Pirlo number 6. So when people are talking about, when they say things like, oh, he needs to be playing like a number 9, or this player needs to be a number 8, I just discount their opinion because they're idiots. Because it's way more complicated, at the same time simple, about saying this is the role and responsibility of those players. So each individual role and responsibility for each little number can be completely and utterly different. And that's where I'm going to come onto the balance here a little bit, because the positional play is wrong, but that isn't the main issue. Let's just put up the team sheet and start going through it, and I'll start saying it and you'll start understanding. So when we're looking at this team sheet, the first thing I want you to think about is, right, who's a ball player? Yeah, he's a ball player, yeah. And what I mean by a ball player, is he going to get the ball down and pass it around a bit? So the next thing you want to look about, oh, is Declan Rice a ball player? Yeah, yes, yeah. What about Jude Bellingham? Yeah, he is. What about Kieran Trippier? Oh, yeah, completely and utterly ball player. So none of these players are going to run around the field and win the ball back for you. And you're going to argue, oh, well, Declan Rice. No, he's not going to run around the field. He's going to hold his place and hold his shape. And he's not going to run around and bring any energy to the team. Foden isn't going to bring any energy to the team. Trippier isn't going to bring any energy to the team. Jude Bellingham, not really. And what do we mean by energy? When he's on the ball, he's going to make something happen by himself. Try to push a player back. Try to take a player on 1v1. Saka will. Yeah, great. Saka will. Kyle Walker's not going to. He's not going to be a marauding right back, getting forward all the time. Well, he might for Pep, but that's because he's getting yelled at from the sideline constantly. Harry Kane isn't going to come and pick the ball up and then beat 2 players and try to get a shot. It's just not his game. What he is going to do is finish a chance. So you're setting up a team here, not really being able to go and win the ball back real quickly, which isn't necessarily a problem against a team like Slovenia. Sorry, I have such a problem saying Slovenia. I keep trying to say Slovakia. So when you look at the balance of the team, about their shape and system, the quality of players they have is so similar. Is Bellingham and Declan Rice a similar player? Yeah, in a lot of respects, their attributes are pretty similar. Okay, so when you start going through, well, what about Foden? Yeah, he's pretty similar. Conor Gallagher, does he add anything different to the team? No, not really. So when you've got such a similar team and all the players are so similar and they're going to be doing the same sort of job, you've got no variation. And that's to me the real problem with the balance of the team. You can't look at that team and go, oh, right, yeah, he's a standout difference. Well, Saka might be, but here's the other problem that happens. If you've got one player in your team and everybody else is kind of doing the same thing, guess what that player ends up doing? Exactly the same as everybody else, because, well, that's what ends up happening. If you've ever played on a team that's much, much better than you, and you raise your game, and you go, oh my God, I played so well in that game. But the vice versa happens when you play with bad players. You go, oh, I played such a horrible game. Well, because everybody else is doing, bad. It's osmosis. Everybody starts to end up doing the same thing as everybody else. And all these players here are exactly the same in the style and the way that they play football. There's nothing new and different about any one of them doing. Like, for instance, if you had Jared Bowen over here, and he's not better than Saka, don't get me wrong, but he is different. He is just going to try to attack down that side. Saka is going to want to come inside and link up plays. Guess what Foden wants to do? Come inside, link up play. So all of a sudden, everybody is trying to do the same job. No one's trying to get down the byline. No one's trying to get outside of people. No one's trying to just pick the ball up and run past people. Conor Gallagher's not going to run past someone. Declan Rice is not going to run past someone. Jude Bellingham's not going to, well, he can, but he's not going, that's, it's not what he's really looking to do. They're looking to keep possession and link up the play. That's all they're doing. So there's nothing different. So if they're all just trying to link up play, it's so easy just to drop back a bit, let them do what they do, and say, come on then, break us down, because you're not going to run around us on the outside. Your left back and your right back aren't going to overload us and run down the outside. Well, we know that. You're just going to pass the ball around the middle a lot. Okay, off you go. Show me what you got. And that is what the real problem with the balance of the team is. Everyone is trying to do the same job and the same thing, and no one is really trying to do anything else other than, well, just keep the ball, cut inside, and do the basics, basically, of looking like a footballer, but not actually doing anything. So let's try to get into some of the clips of the highlights, because I want to show you some of what Slovenia were doing in their 4-4-2, because it was really good. Okay, we've got a lot more to go over, but let's just start watching this little 4-4-2 breakdown right here. So as we can see, these two players here, two centre-backs. Everyone else is doing their job, running around over here. Absolutely fine. Remember, we're looking at this from a Slovenia point of view now, not an England point of view. Watch this player here. He's completely unmarked. And I want you to look at this centre-back, and it's already identified that he's the problem. So when you're creating a point of pressure, a point of attack to win the ball back, this is exactly what you need to be looking to do. You need to be identifying the player that you want to win the ball back from. There he is. And wait for it. Look, he's waiting. So as we move this forward just a little bit, let's play this forward. Can you see he's still watching that player? All of this is going on. I'm going to break this down a little bit more as well with their 4-4-2 and how easy it was for them to defend against England. They didn't run around and try hard. They didn't put loads of pressure on England trying to stop them passing the ball. All they did was just track their runners and hold their shape. Simple. And because they don't know how to break down a 4-4, well, Gareth Southgate doesn't know how to break down a 4-4-2. And there's a couple of reasons there. It's not a widely played system and anymore. Well, remember, system, shape, and formation are all different things. So you can be playing a 4-4-2, and that shape and system can be completely different. Formation, shape, totally different. I keep meaning to do a video about that. But just watch what happens when this ball gets moved forward. Again, the runners go past, but of course, no one in England finds the runners because they all want to do the same thing. They all want to cut inside. They all want to keep the ball into the middle. That's what Foden wants to do. That's what Saka wants to do. And again, watch what happens when this ball gets passed right here. Bosh, out he comes like a flash. He knew it was coming. So when I think it's just Trent trying to take a shot, he's already there in his face, putting pressure on him. Really well done from them. It's very, very simple the way that they're playing, but that's the only real long sprint, I think, from a defensive player coming out to win the ball. And he doesn't win it. Trent gets his shot off, but the pressure there is great just because he's paying attention. And the reason I'm calling this out, right, is because it's the 93rd minute and he still is switched on and he's still ready to go and he's still getting there to pressure the ball and do the right job. I mean, that's pretty well done, mate. That's pretty well done. And also, you've got All Black, who's definitely one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world, probably in the top 3. You ain't beating him from there. You're just not. So, yeah, well done. And when he gets there, look how close he is right there, for the when the shot's been taken. But I want to break down one of England's moves. And I'm going, it's a great move, but the guy was offside. And why it's not such a great move? First off, he's offside. You can't tell me that the move is fantastic if one of your players, who's supposed to be, well, he was one of the best players in the Premier League this year, Foden, makes such a simple mistake and he's a mile and a half offside. So as we start moving this ball across, of course, like I was saying, they all want to do the same thing. They all want to come inside and they all want to pass the ball back this way, or run with the ball this way so they can shoot. No one wants to go down this sideline. And this is the real issue why I'm saying this isn't a good play. And it's because you've got Foden on here, and this does come back to the balance of the player in the wrong position. But he's not a natural left side, well, not a natural winger at all. He's a midfielder. He wants to be in the middle of the field. So do you know what he doesn't do? He doesn't run the line day in, day out. He doesn't stay onside day in, day out. So he doesn't know when to make a good run or a bad run. He just doesn't know. So when he makes this run here, and this is the massive problem. Look. So because he's not a winger or a wide player, he wouldn't know that he needed to be running in front of this defender going that way instead of on the outside of him going that way. All right, he's probably done in his coaching session. Actually, it's a Phil Foden coaching session. That's probably what they call it now at Man City. What it used to be called was the David Silva training session. They run 5 different training sessions. I'm not going to go in anymore because the more I break into Man City's training regimen and what they do, I always get copyright strikes. Yeah. But when that ball's played out there, he knows that he's offside because, clearly he can see that this ball hasn't been played yet. But he doesn't understand that, look, he's got all that space to run into there, and that's all he needed to do was carry his run into that area. But he's not a wide player. So he doesn't understand it, he doesn't get it, and that's the main problem here. It's just because, again, you've got midfielders playing out wide. And if he wasn't a midfielder, and this was any one of like Jared Bowen or Saka, I promise you this would have been a goal. But also, you can see the exposed space just because England moved the ball at a little bit faster tempo than normal. And all game they didn't do that. And all game they didn't move the ball with any intent or any purpose. But again, that comes down to a player that's actually going to dictate the game and speed the pace of the game up. And that's why I'm saying the balance isn't just the shape and the players, it's also the type of players that they have. Declan Rice isn't going to come in and speed up the game with the tempo of passing. He's not going to do that. Jude Bellingham isn't going to come and grab the game by the scruff of the neck and go, right, we're going to pass the ball and ping it around really quickly. All of them can pass the ball. All of them are good on the ball. But what I mean is dictate the pace of the game. They're not going to speed it up. They're not going to go, right, let's just do this and start pinging the ball left to right, back to front. No one's going to do that. There isn't a player to do that. So then you have to use your assets of what you've got. Well, you don't really have any pace and power down the wing, so you can't really use that. And that's the main thing with the balance. You can't really knock the ball 50 yards to a player because no one's running. You can't really ping the ball around if there's not lots and lots of movement in midfield for you to be able to do that. But that's because everybody is so similar. It's like you've got a bunch of squares, but you needed 2 circles and you needed 2 triangles, and you don't have any of that. They're very, very comfortable at keeping the ball and just rotating it around the back, keeping the ball and rotating it around the back, and keeping the ball and rotating it around the back. They're not looking to make clear, concise, penetrating passes forwards. Well, because Harry Kane's not really looking to run, he's looking to drop in short. But then no one is looking to run in behind Harry Kane when he drops in short. Let me show you that. And all right, before I get onto that, I just found this clip as I'm going here. So this is Jude Bellingham, 2v1 here. If this is a winger, like even if this is, I don't even know if Saka will do it for England. Right, you see that space there? You pick any other winger, was it Nico Williams for Spain, anybody else, they're trying to beat those 2 players. They're loving the amount of space they're giving them. But Jude Bellingham can't do that. That's not in his game. So all he does is come back, and Trippier puts in a cross, and it goes nowhere. Which is an awful, by the way, if you're crossing a ball from out here with that trajectory, it is a terrible ball to attack because anyone here, the ball's always going away from you, so you have to be so close to it. And the only time that I like when players do that is if the ball's on target in case it sneaks in on the back post and actually drops into the goal. Other than that, don't do it. You're wasting my time. Keep the ball instead because you're just going to give it back to them. But the fact that he doesn't beat or try to beat these 2 players, or Trippier doesn't put the ball back in here for him to run onto, why doesn't he do that? Well, because he knows he's not going to run on there because he doesn't understand the space, because he's not a player that plays out here wide on the left. Yeah, we could go on for days on this stuff. All right, before we move on, there's one thing that always bothers me in football, is you can do a bicycle kick and kick somebody in the face and it's never a foul. Don't know where that rule came into, but that is true. And like, if I told you someone has just been kicked in the face and they haven't got a yellow card, you'd be going, "Oh, that can't happen in football." Well, it does. At any single point that a player tries to do a bicycle kick and they kick another player in the face, it's all okay. Everyone's, "Oh, that's absolutely fine. You can try to do a bicycle kick him in the face, break his nose," and no one ever seems to bat an eyelid. I want to know when that rule came in and no one told me about it. Oh yeah, you could do a bicycle kick him in the face, and you're absolutely fine. It's insane. I don't know why it's allowed. I just don't know. See, there's always this, I remember these debates for years about dangerous player, and it was in the early 2000s, where if you put your head down below sort of your chest height area, you're actually endangering yourself. You're doing the dangerous play. So if you get kicked or you get hit in the face, it's your fault. And they never really moved it forward or did anything about it. But everyone was like, at the time in the coaching conventions, everyone was like, yeah, that's actually true. You are putting your face into harm's way. You're the one creating the dangerous play, not the person that's got his foot in a natural position. Your foot here is in an unnatural position, kicking him in the face. You're doing the dangerous play. That's clearly a yellow card because you just kick somebody in the face. And there's no even argument for a red card because you kick somebody in the face. But when you're doing a bicycle kick, everyone goes, yeah, he's doing a bicycle kick. He's allowed to kick you in the face. Oh, sorry, one of my bugbears. Let's get on to the next bit. I can't find the clip I'm looking for, Harry Kane. Yeah, unfortunately, I can remember watching it in the game, but I can't seem to find it. But I will just talk a little bit about this move here. So, again, this is what I'm talking about, is everybody is the same. They're all the same type of player. Nobody wants to exploit this space here. Can you see what I'm showing here? Look, they're stagnant. This is where a Jude Bellingham run would be perfect here. But he can't because of just the way that the team is set up. He is not in a position where he's constantly here actually making a deep run threat, because most of the game he was playing out wide here for Phil Foden. But it's not just about Jude Bellingham. Look, even out here on the right, no one is trying to get into this area or make it difficult, or not necessarily make it difficult, make an option for a pass to go into. So you end up having a scuff wide shot out here, and everyone goes, ooh, he kicked it at the goal. Yeah, but it's... his percentages of scoring a goal from there are actually tiny. And that was all of what England were doing. They're going to get knocked out. It's going to be funny. And I'll be here to cover it. I'll see you next time on Cash Yells at England.